So the last thing I wanted to talk about is that today at the end of the day, we're going to do breakout rooms where you can share what your topic is for your informational book, which means that by now you should have pretty much decided on a topic. If you haven't, I'm happy to help you find one today. Just stay with me in the main room when it's time for breakout rooms, but you need to have a topic. So your job this week was to get a topic, and then it was to get yourself ready for learning by breaking your topic into subtopics and making a table of contents. Now, many of you have already done that. Awesome. If you haven't done it, no problem. It's not due till Saturday, but you do need to send me your topic and your table of contents. I have several of you who have not sent that yet. And so if you don't have a topic yet, if you have one and you just haven't submitted the assignment, you're good. You can talk about it in your group. But if you don't have a topic yet, please stay with me when it's time to go to breakout rooms and we'll talk about topics, okay? So we started this writing unit and we said, how do we pick a good topic? How do we make sure it's not too big or too small? How do we make sure it's interesting for us to learn about for 4 weeks? How do we make sure we can find enough books on it? And how do we find books and all of that? Then the next day we talked about how to break up the topic. Today we're going to talk about something really important. And let me ask you a question first. Raise your hand if this is true of you. And if you have your screen turned off, you might want to turn it on now just so I can see you and get a reaction. So I'd love to have people's screens on for this part. So here's my question to you. Have you ever gone on a car ride where you did not pay attention to what was going on or anything? You stared out the window and you didn't pay attention to anything you looked at. You were just thinking of other things. And maybe your parents were even driving in a way that they just got lost and didn't really know where they were. How many people have ever had that happen? Raise your hand. Where you've gone in the car, you've gone on a trip somewhere, but you didn't really know where you were or where you went, and you were just distracted. So learning is kind of like a trip. Let's say I wanted to take a trip over spring break, and I wanted to go camping in the redwoods down in California. I'm not going to just get up and get in the car and go, am I? If I do that, what's going to happen when it's time to sleep? Am I going to have a tent? Am I even going to be able to find the redwoods? Do I have a map? Do I know what's happening? Do I know where to turn? I haven't plugged it into my GPS. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm in trouble. Learning is just like that. When you start learning about a topic, if you don't plan your trip well, you're gonna get lost or be unprepared to learn about the topic. So yes, you can just pick a topic and start reading everything about it, taking random notes, but it's gonna be a big mess, my friends. So here's what I wanna teach you today. In order to learn, we have to organize our thinking. Now, we started that process by breaking it into subtopics so that we know what things to research. So now we're not going to research everything. We're going to research those topics we chose. But even with that, it can be really distracting to learn about a new topic unless we have planned how to organize the information we're getting. Now, let me give you another, what I call an analogy or a comparison, okay? Let's say you're going to start learning about rocks and you're going to make a rock collection. And you decide, okay, I'm going to learn about the kinds of rocks I can find. And so you start going outside and you start picking up rocks and you bring them in your room and you put one rock here and you put one rock here and you put one rock over here and you stick one in your pocket. You put one in a drawer, you stick one under the bed. When it's time to find those rocks and teach about them, are you going to be able to? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
No,
you're going to have a mess. Well, your brain is the same way. And we can't just randomly stick information into our brains and expect to understand it and be able to teach somebody about it. So we have to do 2 things. One, we have to organize the information coming into our brain. And 2, we have to come up with a way of taking some notes, because if we try to remember everything we're reading, we're not going to be able to remember anything. So really great researchers are very careful about setting up their notes in a way to help them be successful. Let me show you, if we were in class, I would help you set up your notes, but we're not in class, so I want to show you a couple of systems. This is one way that I've taught kids to set up their notes. They open up your writer's notebook or a notebook. And actually, I'd love you guys to go grab a notebook right now. Good, show me your notebooks. Okay, grab a notebook. And I don't know about you, but I've gone through a lot of notebooks this year. And frankly, some of my notebooks are a big mess. Like this one is pretty much my book club notebook. And I have your clubs in the front with notes about all of you guys. But in the back, I started taking random notes. And now I don't even know what these notes are. They're just a bunch of notes. And I don't even, like, honestly, I can't find anything in here. So the fact that I'm taking notes alone isn't enough. I have to make sure that I label these notes. So if it were me, I would grab a Post-it and I would write info, because we're doing informational writing. I would write informational writing on a Post-it like that. And I would stick it in my notebook so that even if it's closed, I can find it. Informational writing. So I would suggest you label where in your notebook you're going to take notes. Now, if you don't have a Post-it, another really great way to do that is to double or triple fold the page before, because then it's kind of thick and it sticks out. So if I double or triple fold the page before where I take notes, that usually works too. So first step, mark where in your notebook the notes are so you can find them. Maybe you have a brand new notebook and that would be awesome. That works too.
My notebook's in a truck.
Step 2, thinking of your table of contents. You want to set up your notes in a way, if you are a Post-it note person, this system might work for you. You're going to write all of your table of contents subtopics onto the page. So this page says pioneers, Oregon Trail, Lewis and Clark, Sacagawea, early settlers, effects, dangers, causes. And I've got all of those things. And then each time I take a note, I can ask myself, where does this note fit? And I can stick it in. Sacagawea was 16 years old. Her son was named Palm and she was a Shoshone. I'm going to put that under Sacagawea. And I can just pile my notes on there. And when it's time to write about Sacagawea, I can pull them out and go write about her. I can also reorganize them if I want. If you are not a Post-it kid, is there anybody here who's not a Post-it kid? Okay, another way of taking notes, a second way. So if you have your notebook and you're taking notes right now on taking notes, notes on taking notes, if it were me, I would have done it like this. So how to organize. So you guys should be writing this down. Notes. First way, Post-its by your subtopics. Okay, so the first way that I showed you was Post-its by subtopics, and I'm going to draw a little picture just so I can remember what I'm talking about. And on my little picture, I'm just going to put some of my subtopics. So Oregon Trail, Sacagawea, Lewis and Clark. Would I ever write about all of these things in one book? Probably not. Too much. But anyway, so that was the first way I showed you to take notes. Please make sure you're taking notes on how to take notes right now. So you should be writing this down. How to organize notes. 1, Post-its by subtopic. So if you're a Post-it kid, you like to do Post-its, that works really well. So you're taking notes on this. Number 1, Post-its by subtopic. So you would write down your subtopics across the page, and then you would organize your Post-its by the subtopics. Okay, how we doing? Does everybody have that written down? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on. Okay, I'm going to share with you a second way. If you're not a Post-it kid, but you do like taking notes on paper while you're working, a second way is to find a spot in your notebook that has several pages, like enough pages for at least a page or two for each subtopic. So find a clear spot, label it info writing, and then instead of using Post-it notes, you're going to write your subtopics across the pages. So this page will probably be table of contents. Now I'm writing in a big marker. You probably won't. I'm going to start with my table of contents. Let's say I'm doing the Oregon Trail. I'm going to start with an introduction. And I'm going to write it here. And then I'm going to turn to the very next page. And at the top of the page, I'm going to write introduction. And this is where I'm going to work on my introduction. It's where I'm going to take notes for my introduction. And I'm going to turn a couple of pages so that I can have, I've got this with my table of contents, and then I've set this up for my introduction, 2 pages. My next thing that I'm going to have in my book is what was the Oregon Trail? So now on the next page, I'm going to write what was the Oregon Trail. So right now, if you want to, you can be setting up your notebook like this. And then the next topic I'm going to have on there is the route. So that's going to be maps and stuff. That's probably not going to be that long. I'll leave a page and then I'm going to write route. My next topic that I have on there is going to be preparation. How did you get ready to go on the Oregon Trail? Now, when I'm taking notes, I'm going to look for all the preparation information to be on these pages. And I'm not actually writing the book on these pages. I'm just getting the notes on those pages. And finally, I'm going to have like a day in the life of an Oregon Trail pioneer. That'll probably be my mini story. So a day there. What I'm trying to show you is that before going on a trip, I have to get my map, I have to get all my supplies, and this is kind of like doing that in learning. So this second way of taking notes is you write down your table of contents, and then you set up pages where you're going to take notes on each of those subtopics. So that when I'm studying, let's say today I want to start on the route, and I don't even want to start on the preparations for the Oregon Trail. I just want to do the map. Well, then I'm going to start reading, and as I find things out about the route, I'm going to write them down here. Like the fact that there were several trails. There wasn't just one. There was a guidebook. I actually bought the guidebook and I have it, and I love to read to my class out of that guidebook because it's actually a travel book telling people what to do to get ready for the Oregon Trail and which trails are better. And if you know anything about the Oregon Trail, it did matter which trail you took, because if you took the wrong one, you might end up like the Donner Party. And you guys, if you don't know about the Donner Party, they got stuck in the winter, and when people died, guess what they did with their bodies?
Ate them.
They ate them. Ah!
Oh yeah, that. I read.
Oh, that's more information why you need to be prepared, or you'll end up having to be accountable. All right. So this second way of taking notes, I'm going to go back to my notes about notes. The first way was to use Post-its by subtopic. The second way was to set up pages by subtopic for notes. Okay. And now I'm going to show you a third way of taking notes. And this one I know is going to appeal to a lot of you, but I'm going to tell you right now, kids aren't always great at it. And the problem with it is it makes it really easy to do something called plagiarism, which I know you know. So that's online note taking. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's cool because you can easily save quotes. It also helps you write down where all your information comes from. But you have to be careful with it because cutting and pasting is really easy to steal people's work with and not have it in your own words. And remember, this whole book should sound like it was written by a 10 or a 9 or a 10-year-old kid. It should not sound like it was written by some expert adult, right? Because that's not what we're doing today. So, whoops, sorry, Ms. Laws. So here's what I wanted to show you next. I'm going to actually share my screen and show you how to do online note taking. That's our third type. We can do this on our notes right now. Let's write the third one is set up a Google Doc by subtopic. So we're still using those subtopics, but instead of having them on paper, we're going to put them on a Google Doc, and I'm going to show you how to do that. This is if you're a kid who's pretty good at flipping between the tabs on the top of your page and you want to take notes online. Your parents will be amazed by this because it does do some pretty neat things. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. Maybe. There we go. And I'm going to go to my Google Docs. So the way I usually get there is just go to a new tab, and I use what's called the waffle, which when it's ready will pop up right here. There it is. I don't know if you guys can do that on your Chromebook or not. And then I just go to my drive. It takes forever when I'm screen sharing like this. In my drive, I want to open a new Google Doc. So new. La 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 la. Come on, baby. Open up. Really? Come on. It's got to have more. I don't know why it doesn't always open up all the Google Docs. I guess another way to get to my Google Docs is to just click on here and click on Google Doc. I'll just do that this time. I don't know why my drive's not working, but whatever. Okay, now it should be opening Google Docs, but of course, since I'm teaching you, it's going to take its time. All right, start a new document. Yes. Now, I want you to do two things. So if you're a kid who's planning to take notes online, I'd like you to do this right now. So go ahead and open a separate tab, open up your Google Docs, and open a new blank Google Doc. All right. In your new blank Google Doc, I would like you to title it first. And here's how I want you to title it. I would like you to take and erase the untitled document and put in your name, Ms. Laws, Informational Writing, and then your topic. Okay? I would like the title to be like that because it makes it easy for me to find it. And the second thing I would love you to do is I would like you to share the document with me. So if you go over to share and you click it, then the next thing it does is it says add people. And do you see my address right here? I'd like you to add me. So Lori_Laws at, and it's all there. So you can just click it. Okay, so Lori Laws, send. And that'll send it to me so that I can look at your notes while you're working on them. All right, the next step of setting up this informational writing is you're going to put your topic on there and your subtopics. So introduction, oops, sorry. And the nice thing is you don't have to spread them out because it will do that as you work. Right? If you wanted, you could have like an asterisk in front of them or bold them somehow so that you know they're your subtopics so they don't get mixed in with your writing. Introduction, let's see, I had the root. I don't think that was first, but you probably want to keep yours in order. I had preparation. I had a day in the life. And I had, oh, what was the Oregon Trail? That was my first thing. What was the Oregon Trail? Now, spelling is not important to me, but, and capitals aren't either, but it's good to get in the habit of just always fixing those things. All right, a day in the life and then probably a conclusion, right? So your book needs to have basically these parts. It needs an introduction, it needs at least 3 subtopics, and it needs a conclusion. It also needs a story, which we'll add later. And we're going to do like a mini essay conclusion. Now that I have all of this set up, I can go and do research on any part of it anytime I want. So let's say I want to start with the root, okay? I'm going to start right here. I'm going to just make a little space because I know I'm going to research this right now. And I'm going to use the Explorer tool. So if you see this little star at the bottom that says Explore, it's a pretty neat thing. So let's say oh my gosh, look at this. It's already suggested some things here. You wrote about this, you wrote about this, you wrote about this. Probably because every year I go in here and do stuff on the Oregon Trail. The different trails of the Oregon Trail. That's kind of a weird thing to put in there. Westward expansion trails, Wikipedia. Now, does anybody know anything about Wikipedia? Like, is it completely reliable?
No.
No, it's just made by people. So I have to be a little bit careful of Wikipedia, but it also has good information. So this talks about the Oregon Trail. This one talks about many other trails. So I kind of think I'm going to want this one. So I'm going to open it up. And when I clicked that, it opened to a different page, which is fine. Ooh, this is cool. So this one says the Oregon Trail was a 2,700 mile east-west large wagon wheeled route and emigrant trail. I think I'm going to want the distance. So I'm going to highlight that information. I'm going to do Control-C so that I copy it. And then if I look at the top of my page up here, I'm right on here and I can stick it in. So boom, Control Paste, and there it is. I have the information. You notice I didn't take a big chunk of information. I just had the length of it. Now here's the other pretty neat thing. When you're using the Explorer tool, you can actually do a natural bibliography. And I'm going to forget how to do it. Is this it? Yeah, cite as a footnote. So just now I ended up using this one, right? And let's say I want to tell where that information comes from. I can click on that. And it says saving up there at the top, and it says saved to drive. Now let me show you what it did. So I got that information from a site, and now at the bottom, it tells you that I used that website. So this is a pretty neat little trick. Instead of having to keep a separate bibliography, this will add whatever websites you use. Naturally, it will go ahead and take and put those in. Every website you use, you can click on those little things. It says cite as a footnote, and it does that. If you are not using that, I'm going to stop my share. Let's say you're using paper. And let's say you're using something as old-fashioned as a book. Let me find you a book. Oh, here we go. This is an awesome one. So here's that book I was telling you about. This is the book that actually existed. I don't think it looked like this, but the writing in this book is actually the writing that the travelers could use to read about the Oregon Trail. This is called an original document because this is from that time period. And it says here, like, the different routes to California and Oregon. So let's say I'm doing my notes in here. I'm actually going to have to take the time to make another page in my notebook. So I'm going into my notebook. I'm going to where I set up my notes, going to informational writing, which luckily I marked it so I could find it right away. And I'm going to the very last page where I have some free space. And I'm writing this word, which I'm going to put in the chat because you guys need to write this word down. So this word I'm adding is bibliography. Now in 4th grade, you aren't required. I don't know why I can't find the chat, but I'll look for it again. Let's see, chat. Where are you, chat? Oh, there it is. Okay. Bibliography. Boom, 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 boom. It's a big word. Biblio means book. Graphy, I don't know what that means. It means like, I don't know, graphic. Bibliography. It's a list of the books and websites you used. So right now I want everyone to write that word down at the end of your notes. I'm writing mine right here. Bibliography. Now, if I were using this book, The Prairie Traveler, I'm going to have to write the title, The Prairie, and I'm going to try to spell it right by looking at it. Traveler. And I'm going to write who it's by Randolph Barnes Marcy. Now, let's suppose that I was also using that book while I was doing the online one. And I can't just add it because it's a hard copy book, right? So I'm going to have to type that in. So I'm going back to share here to show you what I would be doing here. If this is my bibliography for my book, okay, I did not want to do that. Let's close that. Here we go. There we go. So if this is my bibliography, and I'm actually going to call it a bibliography down here. It won't let me click down there. I don't know why, but I'm just going to go down here and hopefully, is it letting me go down there? Yeah, good. So here I'm going to type bibliography. Great. And I'm going to go down below this one and I'm going to put this book in. The Prairie Traveler. Now, what do we do with the title of a book? Does anybody know? You want to
italics. You put it in italics. You underline.
Well, actually, you could do italics, or normally you just underline it. So right here, underline. There we go. By, and then you don't usually underline the author's name, so you have to go back and click underline again. But I don't really care. Some people get really upset about how you write these things, but I don't care as long as you're telling where your information comes from. So what I'm going to be looking for is that you have used at least 3 or more sources. When you were little, you probably used one source and that was good. But now that you're older, you're really wanting to use a lot of sources to make sure your information is accurate. If I was going to list this website on my paper, I would want to write this up at the top. So this is called the URL, this Wikipedia. And I would just write down Wikipedia and the title, Oregon Trail. You can write the whole URL, but this is good enough for me, just so that I know that it was another source. Okay. Oh, that was a lot, you guys. So you can take notes on paper or online or on Post-its, but you need to get ready today so that you can take your notes and organize them in a way that you can find them again when it's time to write. Here's what I would recommend is pick one of your subtopics. So today, get your notebook all set up, but then tomorrow when you start reading about your subtopic, pick one of your subtopics, take a lot of notes about it in one day, and then do some writing on it that day. Now this week we've used mostly for organizing. So next week we're going to start doing a lot of writing. Okay, questions? Yes, Alaya.
Instead of doing all that, I've been doing boxes and bullets for my writing.
Which is awesome, but what have you been doing them on?
I got 2 done yesterday, the daily routine of like waking up and like going.
So Alaya, I think that your boxes are probably your subtopics, right? And you just, if you would like to right now, what I would recommend is make sure you leave enough space underneath each box so that it has its own page. So you can always add more information. That's awesome, honey. That'll work. It's the same idea. And I think at school, most kids, I do make them put it in a box, each of the subtopics. Awesome. Any other questions? Do you have to pick a topic? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Do you have to organize your notes?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not there at your house. I can't make you do it. If I were at school, I would totally harass each and every one of you and collect all of your notebooks and look at your notes. But I can't do that. However, next week, at the end of the week, you have to submit your notes and show me what you're doing. Okay. So you have another week to get some notes taken, but by next week, you got to have some notes. This week, all you have to have is a topic and a table of contents. Okay. All right, friends. If you do not have a topic yet and you want some help getting one, stay with me. Otherwise, I'm going to set you into breakout rooms with about 6 people, which is kind of a lot, but it's because we've been having some problems with people not talking in breakout rooms. In a breakout room, let me remind you, you need to have your screen on and you need to be talking. So you need to be unmuted unless your room is noisy and be talking in your breakout room. When you are done talking, then you may go ahead and leave for today unless you have questions, okay? So I've got 4 breakout rooms, 6 people in each. I'd like you to go around and take turns telling each other what your topic is, what you're gonna be exploring. And like if it were me, I might say, oh, I'm gonna be doing the Oregon Trail and I've already found 4 books. Here's my books I found, okay? And then when we gather tomorrow with your small groups, you're going to tell us how you're doing with your research and bring some books with you. Okay? Yeah.
I'm quite busy today. I have a lot of assignments, so can I go?
Ryan, I want you to share your topic first because I've noticed that you haven't turned it in yet. So if you don't have a topic, stay with me. Otherwise, you need to go to the breakout room and share your topic there, okay? And then you can go, but you can go first in the breakout room. Here we go. Open all rooms. Stay with me if you don't have a topic. Zeta, go ahead. Ask a question.
It's not really a question, but I'm not going to be at school tomorrow. It's because I'm going to go to the zoo tomorrow.
Ooh, how fun. That sounds great. Do you have a topic, sweetie?
Yes. I just didn't go for the question.
What is your topic?
Wildcat.
Ooh, wildcats. Awesome. I was watching some information on those the other day. The sand cat. So interesting. All right, go ahead and go to your breakout room and share that. Lily, I know you have a topic. Question?
Yeah. I was trying to figure it out, but then I was like, that's a really big topic, and I was just having problems trying to figure out like
How to make
what. Yeah, and what, like how to break it up.
Okay. So, Gerard, honey, you have a topic. What are you writing your book about? With Miss Potts. What are you guys studying? Peacocks, right? Are you still doing peacocks? You're muted, buddy. So go to your breakout room and tell the kids about your project, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Joey, do you need help with a topic? You don't have a topic yet?
No.
You're such a scientist, Joey. I would think you would want to do it on something scientific. What have you been interested in lately?
Like microscopic creatures?
Yeah, that's amazing. Of course, that would be fascinating. Don't you think? Since you've been so into your microscope?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great. Like what can we see in a drop of water? That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So go to your small group and tell the kids what you're going to do it on. How about you, Zong or Abby? Do you need some help with a topic? Rod, do you need some help?
No, I have a question.
Yes.
Write it on a slide because I already wrote it. I already wrote my rough draft. Like, do I have to change it into a doc or can I stay on the slide?
You can stay on the slideshow, but here's what I don't see. I don't see where you've taken any notes. So I need to see where your notes are.
Wait.
So I need you to do some more reading on the topic and take some more notes. Okay?
My notes, I don't really take notes. I just read it and then I write it down.
Yeah, so Zong, I need you to start learning to take some notes because your brain can't hold on to all of that information. Okay, and the other thing is when you just read it and write it down, you don't do all that hard thinking work of organizing the information into like what's most important. You're just kind of remembering it, which isn't the same work.
Okay.
So just you don't have to change anything you've done so far, but just pick some other topics to do some more research on, like how the wolf evolved. Are there different species of wolves in different places? right? Okay. Abby, need some help with the topic?
Yes.
Okay, well, you and I are meeting today too, Abby. We might have a chance to talk later, but also, did you see that whole list of topics that I had on the assignment?
Yes.
What are you thinking of doing?
I don't know.
Of all the like nonfiction things you've written about in the past, what's been most interesting? I'm wondering, I thought you were interested in writing about wrestling. Like
No,
that. You
I
were
just
talking all about that.
I just like watching them do it on TV.
You don't want to research the history of wrestling, and
Not
because
really.
the Olympics started with naked men wrestling.
Like completely naked? That's weird.
I think that they might have been wearing a little thing on, but not much, maybe nothing. Yeah, it's weird, but it's interesting. So maybe you want to study the whole history of wrestling from the past to the present. Just an idea, just because when you were talking about it, you seemed so excited. Hey, Riad, what are you thinking of? Riad, do you have an idea?
No, I'm just putting on, how do you say it, medicine, because I have eczema.
Okay, well, what are you thinking of doing your research project on? What would you like to do it on? What would be interesting? Science, history, pop culture? What do you think, bud?
I guess I'll learn.
I've had a kid do a research project on extreme sports. Should people be able to do them? You could do it, I don't know, maybe you have strong feelings about, you were talking about colonialism in Africa and the way it's been treated. You could do it on something about that.
I think I know.
The Eiffel Tower and the history of it. You were teaching me about that, where all the metal came from. What do you think, buddy?
In our religion, it's about Prophet Muhammad. I would like to research about that.
About the Prophet Muhammad's lives, did you say?
Life, yeah.
His life and all the history of the Prophet Muhammad? Okay, that's fine with me. As long as you base it on a lot of reading, okay?
Okay.
Go to a room and share that idea. Griffin, do you need some help coming up with the topic? Zeta, go ahead, honey.
No, I'm just gonna leave right now.
Griffin, do you have a topic?
Yes,
What is it?
it's about the history of dogs.
Okay, awesome. So make sure you submit that to me this week, okay?
Okay, I think I've done the table of contents and and I've thought of the title, so I think I'm gonna submit it today.
Okay, awesome. Did you share that in a group?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. You can go. Zeta, what's your question, hon?
So our breakout room was John Sharon, so can I go?
Yep, you can go.
Bye.
All right, Abby, let's think of some other things you might be interested in. What do you think? Is there something historic you're interested in? You did such a good job on your research about your heritage. What do you think? History, science?
Well, the only thing I really want to know about right now is how electronics are made.
Ooh, that's fascinating. What
Because
about
of, like, how does the computer know that I click on the keys? How does it send the letters into the Chromebook?
You could do it all about how, like understanding computers. I think that would be fascinating. Like, how do they work? What's the history of computers? Did you know when I was young in college, we had one computer at my college and it took up a whole room, Abby. And all it could do, it was a giant room full of machinery, and all it could do is you could go to a monitor and you could type like, hi, and somebody could see it. It was ridiculous. So the world has really changed because of computers. And I think that would be really interesting to learn all about computers, like how do they work? There's a thing called binary, I know, where computers interpret everything from from two things, either on or off. And I don't really understand it though. It's pretty interesting. I think that would be great, Abby.
Okay.
So why don't you get that topic, and then what you need to do is let's find some books on it, and I can help you with that at about 12:45 today. You're going to come in with me and we can find some books on it and start to make your table of contents. Does that sound good?
Oh, hello, Charlie. Sorry, my cat was running. They always do that. I'm getting a haircut today and it's at 11:30, so I don't know when I'm going
Well,
to
your
get
mom wrote to me and said she wanted you to come a little bit earlier. You were going to come at like 1:30 or something, but now you're going to come at whenever you get back from your haircut. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okie dokie. I'll see you later, kiddo.
Bye.
Bye.
Snake, but not a scorpion.